Well, good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Gary Lindner for our 8 a.m. Nikken Product Knowledge for Self-Care presentation. I'll start just a little. First of all, I hope everybody slept well. Maybe you're on this call because you didn't sleep too well, and maybe we can give you some answers or at least some choices to help you get a better night's sleep. This is one of my favorite presentations to give, just because of how important sleep is for our health. And I think also it's one of those areas, again, that we kind of ignore. We have very, very busy lives. We say, gosh, okay, I'll stay up a little later tonight so I can finish that work or whatever it may be that's on your mind. And our sleep suffers, and consequently our health kind of suffers. Really, these presentations are directed around self-care, and we want to be able to be healthy by choice, not by chance. And think about that statement for a minute, because if we are leaving our health to chance, I'll pretty much just tell you, our chances aren't very good that we're going to be healthy. By the time we're 65, 80 to 90% of us have one or more chronic diseases. 50% of our population or adults have one. 25%, regardless of age, have two or more. And this is something I think that we would want to address. So I believe the best way to do that is through what we call self-care, which is an active, it's a dynamic, it's an ongoing process through which people become aware of and make choices towards a healthier life. And the way that we deliver this with Nikken, and this is a Nikken independent consultant presentation, not Nikken corporate. So I just need to kind of say that up front. But the way we deliver that is through what we call a Nikken Wellness Home. It is a complete self-care solution. Nikken's a 40-year-old research and development company, and we address what I appreciate about it as a physiologist. I have a PhD in physiology from Clemson University, and what I appreciate there is we're looking at just about every aspect of health. We look at healthy air, healthy water, healthy sleep, good healthy nutrition, and healthy light. And if we look at those 5 areas, those aren't just nice to have, they are necessary to have. They are vital. Without any one of them, we can't survive, let alone be healthy. So today we're going to focus on sleep. And this statement here is from William C. Dement. He's from Stanford University. He's one of the top researchers in sleep physiology. And what it really says is that healthy sleep is more important than our genetics, our heredity, our diet, or exercise. In fact, many people say if you have an extra hour in your day, it is better used for sleep than it is for exercise. And there's a quote from a CNN documentary just last year, and I highly suggest you take a look at it. It was very, very interesting about sleep and the importance for our health. Great documentary to take a look at. I think you can probably find it online somewhere. But that's a pretty profound statement. The brain craves 4 things. We crave water, we crave food, we crave sleep, and we crave sex. Now I'll let you guys take care of the sex part of that, but really, if you look at that, if we aren't sleeping enough, then we're going to crave some other things because we're going to be out of balance. So how would you know if you are having some sleep issues? And there's a few statements here to kind of elucidate that. If you need an alarm clock in order to wake up in the morning, if you rely on the snooze button, and maybe some of you are kind of chuckling because that's the case. If you have a hard time getting out of bed in the morning, you just don't feel rested and you don't want to get out of bed. If you're tired or sluggish in the afternoon, if you get sleepy in meetings, lectures, in warm rooms, if you're sleepy right now while I'm talking, you may be sleep deprived. You get drowsy after a meal or when driving. And of course, we all know the ramifications of that cannot be very good. If you need a nap to get through the day, fall asleep while relaxing or maybe watching TV. If you feel the need to sleep in on the weekends, fall asleep within 5 minutes of going to bed. Many people think, wow, I fall asleep very quickly. And that's a good thing. It's not necessarily a good thing. What it means is really you're sleep deprived and you are so exhausted that you're just conking out. We have to go through a progression for sleep. If we aren't sleeping well, we make some choices. A lot of people use over-the-counter sleep aids or prescription medications. And I would not advise these. You aren't really sleeping. There's a lot of health risks associated with them. The FDA's just ordered that they use stronger labeling as far as being narcotic in nature, habit forming, and there's side effects to them as well. But the sleep quality that you're receiving is really just a more of a coma, a medicated coma, than it is an actual healthy sleep. Other choices we might make is if we don't get enough sleep and we're very, very tired during the day, are for very unhealthy energy drinks. And you can see those on the left-hand side. Or the usual, let's go get 300 milligrams of caffeine at Starbucks. And I'm not saying Starbucks is bad. A lot of times it's more of a social atmosphere than that. But I know a lot of people, and many people that I know in different groups that I'm associated with, rely on that stimulus to get them through the day. And they really shouldn't have to if they are sleeping well. So why don't we just sleep well? And what is the problem? There's a couple things in lieu of a disease process, but just in general, that I think prevents us from sleeping. One is that busy mind. That was something that through my adult life, I had issues with. I would go to bed, lay there awake, think about things I didn't do, things I had to do, think about everything, and just could not turn and slow down my mind. A lot of people can't sleep because they hurt. They have discomfort, and it's very hard to get a good night's rest if you're in discomfort. Temperature fluctuations, either being too hot or too cold. Tossing and turning because we feel too heavy in one spot. Sometimes that could just be the physical function of your mattress or what you're using to sleep on. Breathing issues, that can be a problem for many people as far as getting a good night's sleep. And our head being too hot. We sleep better with our head a couple degrees cooler than the rest of our body. And that's a physiological fact, but it's one reason why some people can't sleep and they wake up. So some facts about sleep. It's basically been, just like that CNN documentary, Time, Life, U.S. News, World Report, all published articles on this, saying an epidemic in sleeplessness. And that's a problem. I mean, 7 out of 10 Americans have a sleep problem. Just about as many sleep less than 7 hours of night. 15% with severe problems, almost 70% of children. The next statement, 3,000 sleep clinics in the U.S., and that's 3,000 clinics that have some type of medical background to them. There's many others that don't. I did my PhD in physiology at Clemson University, and I'll tell you, the year was 1979, so I'm aging myself. But I still have the textbook for physiology of sleep. And in the back of that textbook, it listed all the sleep clinics in North America in 1979. I'm not sure when that book was published, but it was very close to then. And just to give you a perspective, in 1979, in the back of that book, there were 3 sleep clinics in North America. There are over 3,000 now to address this epidemic, if you will. One poor night's sleep can drop our immune system by 60%. And think about that for a second. That's a huge health risk. And what happens when we go a couple nights in a row with poor sleep? That immune deficiencies drop 60% each night. And most of us would probably agree, if we aren't sleeping well, what happens? We pick up that germ, we pick up that virus, that pathogen, and usually end up getting the flu or cold or getting sick in one way or another. So National Institutes of Health says the average adult sleeps less than 7 hours per night. So as busy as we are, that may sound pretty good, but in reality, it's a recipe for chronic sleep deprivation. Here's what we need in hours of sleep by age. And of course, as we get older, we need a little bit less, but we still need, as adults, 7.5 to 9 hours of sleep a night. And I know a lot of you are saying, gosh, where am I going to find the time to do that? And that's really what this is all about. It's about making choices, becoming aware of, and making choices towards a healthier life. And that's what self-care is about. So, and that's what these presentations are about, so that you can make these choices once you are aware. So here's why we need that. We go through 5 stages of sleep, and I'm not going to get real technical about this. Really, what I want to just say is there are 4 non-REM and 1 REM, rapid eye movement sleep, in these 5 stages. These stages progress 1 through 5. If we wake up at stage 2, we don't go to 3, we go back to 1. So again, this is what we need to do. A complete sleep cycle takes an average of 90 to 110 minutes. So if we were to take the short side of that, we're looking at 7.5 hours of sleep a night to go through 5 of those cycles for a good sleep. Now, 5 of those cycles is what is known to help our body recover, rest, and rejuvenate. So it is very important from a physiological standpoint. If we have poor sleep, it can cause lots of problems, lots of health issues, lots of chronic diseases, if you will. Weight gain, again, going back to the 4 things our bodies crave. If we aren't getting enough sleep, we want more energy, we're craving carbohydrates, we're craving sweets, which could lead to diabetes. We have cardiovascular problems, blood pressure problems with poor sleep, anxiety symptoms, depressed mood. We talked about poor immune function, and we can have abuses with alcohol or drugs as far as that goes as well. So some myths about sleep, and some people find this very elucidating, and another way to become aware. Getting just 1 hour less sleep per night won't affect your daytime functioning. False. It will, right? Your body adjusts quickly to different sleep patterns or times. That's not true. Extra sleep at night can cure you of problems for excessive daytime fatigue. Not really. It's more about how many of those cycles have you gone through and what quality of sleep you've had. You can make up, and I hear many people say this, you can make up for lost sleep during the weekends. I will catch up on the weekend. It doesn't work that way. You will carry that sleep debt, again, because it is a circadian rhythm, a 24-hour period where we require and need that 7.5 hours of sleep, or through those 5 cycles. So for choices, boy, that's about as restful a sleep as you can imagine, that little baby laying there. We want a good night's sleep. We want it to be a sound sleep, deep, restful, rejuvenating. And just to give a little, excuse me, in the 5th century, Sophocles wrote, "Sleep is the only medicine that gives ease. If this is the case, it stands to reason that lack of sleep or poor sleep could give dis-ease or put you out of balance." Our choices here is what we call adaptive sleep technology. Now, Nikken, as a research and development company, studied sleep, studied the physiology of sleep, and looked at it from a pretty simple standpoint as to what keeps us awake at night and what can we use from a product or technology standpoint to help us get a better night's sleep. And this is it, the Kenko sleep system. We use magnetic energy in it. We have far infrared, negative ions to help relax us. We have support for all body types, massage nodules to help with tossing and turning at night. It's a very cost-effective, a fraction of the cost of premium mattresses. We use environmentally responsible materials, environmentally safe materials. I will challenge you to Google what's in a conventional mattress as far as toxic chemicals. You will be surprised what's there, where we spend a third of our life breathing that throughout the night, which may not be the healthiest choice as well. So we'd want to have a sleep system that has safe materials in it, that it's not off-gassing and we aren't breathing that through the night. So again, what wakes us up at night? And here's probably the best way I can illustrate the benefit of making of the Nikken sleep system. And just to run through them again, we can't relax, we can't slow down. We either hurt, we have temperature fluctuations, feeling too heavy in one spot, breathing issues, and with our head being too warm. This is where the Nikken system and the technologies help with those problems. So if we can't relax, the negative ions, the magnetics, help relax us so we can fall asleep faster and carry through that 5 cycles in a much more efficient manner, not only time-wise, but also physiologically as far as how we're progressing through those stages of sleep. Many of us on this call, and if you're a guest, talk to the people around that invited you here, have had tremendous benefits with different types of discomfort with Nikken's triphase technologies. We're talking about, again, the magnetics, the far infrared, and the negative ions. Temperature fluctuation. This is probably one of the favorite products in our household, which is the Kenko comforter. It keeps us at an even temperature. We're neither too hot nor too cold. If you're a little cold, you wrap up in that, and within 20 seconds, you're perfect. You just feel great. And let's think about that for a minute too, because the one thing our body does that we expend the most energy in our lifetime doing is keeping our bodies at 98.6 degrees or 37 degrees centigrade. If we have a product that's helping us do that, that's a big energy saver for our body, because it can use that energy then to other purposes, which is what it wants to do, which is rejuvenate and repair. Feeling too heavy in one spot, the massage nodules on the mattress pad helps us do that. A lot less tossing and turning. Many times the individual that tosses and turns a lot is not really cognitive or aware of it, but their partner surely is, because they're not woken up every time somebody's tossing and turning. And we have the topper to help with that. Breathe, and the topper also wicks away moisture, so we perspire about a cup of perspiration per evening, but it wicks it away, so we never really have a moist or wet spot on top of that topper, which again, if you did, you would move away from and wake up in doing so. With their head being too hot, we have the Nature Rest pillow and the pillowcase with the far infrared technology in there to help keep that head cool. I think we've all experienced waking up at night and moving a pillow just to keep our head cool. So this is a phenomenal system, and I think we really, it's very hard to express how well it works and what really a good night's sleep can do for us, and how great we can feel during the day if we haven't been sleeping. And I realize many of you on this call this morning may be having some sleep issues, and how frustrating that really is. It's, I think, one of the most frustrating things we have is wanting to be asleep, go to sleep, being very tired, and just then laying there in bed and not being able to do so. It's extremely frustrating. So a couple of years ago, well, quite a few years ago, actually, I've been a proponent for Nikken and self-care for 18 years. Nikken Corporate called me up and said, Gary, there's a lot of Nikken sleep systems that run through your membership number. And they said, you know, can you share with the field really why that is, or what your conversation is, or what you do with people, so that they make a choice for a Nikken sleep system. And of course, I said, sure, I will share, because we love to share. So what I did is basically, when I first started in Nikken, and I first had my own sleep system, I noticed that the changes for me were very subtle. They were not dramatic. I noticed I was sleeping a little better, but I really wasn't cognitive of how much better I actually was sleeping until I took a business trip and did not sleep on my sleep system and went back to my old patterns of sleeping, which was, waking up about every hour, hour and a half at night throughout the entire night and not getting good sleep. But with that being said, those changes being very subtle, what I started to do was to benchmark people. And what I did was, when they made an investment or when they made a choice for a Nikken sleep system, I asked them these 8 questions. And basically, they're pretty simple questions. And they're questions really about how they feel on a daily basis, how they feel about their sleep and their sleep quality. And then I would, and I actually documented this with about 174 people. Again, being that scientist and having that science background, that was kind of a natural thing for me to do. But what I want to really show is that of these 174 people that I documented and actually did some statistics on, very rudimentary statistics, by the way, but really, and again, this is not quantitative, this is very qualitative, but it's very valid, because this is how these people felt. And basically, for those that slept on the sleep system for less than a week, they noticed nearly a 50% improvement in their own sleep quality coming out of their own mouths. And it was very interesting that when I did the follow-up, so I asked these questions before they slept on the system, and anywhere from 4 to 7 days afterwards, I asked them the exact same questions, and I kept the piece of paper. It was very interesting that people would sit down initially with me and say, gosh, I really hope this thing would help me sleep better. I don't notice that I'm sleeping that much better. And then when I asked the questions and then showed them the results, again, it was quite a awakening for them, if you will, to kind of use a pun. But they were quite surprised of how much better they were sleeping and how much better they felt, even though. And the reason being is, again, because for many of us, it's not a dramatic change. It's a progressive change as to how we're sleeping. So for some of you that may want to know, these questions are in my Nikken library. Just search for sleep questions, and you can find those if you have an interest in doing that. Now, we have a number of other products that help us sleep. The Kenko sleep mask is one that is a awesome product. It's we use that very frequently in our home. Sometimes I have one daughter that still lives at home, and she has a very erratic schedule. Sometimes she needs to sleep during daylight hours, and the Kenko sleep mask helps her to do that. It's a great product. It's also, if you're having any discomfort or sinus issues, it's a great product for helping with that as well. And also, we have the pillowcase that I mentioned earlier. We have a travel comforter, and we have a cocoon. And I want to take a minute talking about cocoon, because this is really all about choices. And the cocoon, I had a discussion at Nikken Corporate last week, and was pretty much said to me that this will become a permanent product in our product category. I think that's awesome, because a lot of times I think that's a great choice, especially for parents that have a child that isn't sleeping well. And sometimes the investment in a whole sleep system may be too much to start with, but we can give them the choice of a cocoon for $159 and see if that can help their child sleep and have a little better sleep at night as well. So those products are extra products that we have in this category. I love taking my travel comforter with me when I'm on the road, but of course now I take my Cocoon, so that's pretty cool as well. So a couple steps to a better sleep, and one that isn't on here is I also suggest having a very dark room and a very cool temperature when you're going to do. But stick to a sleep schedule, and this is from the Mayo Clinic. Pay attention to what you eat and drink before you're planning to retire or go to sleep. Create a bedtime ritual, whatever that might be. And it's as we go through habits, those repair us physically and mentally for what's to follow for a good night's sleep. Get comfortable. Limit your daytime naps if you can. If you include physical activity in your daily routine, you will sleep better. And do some things to help manage your stress. So at this point in time, I want to get a couple testimonials on the sleep system, and I believe Charlie LeMay is with us, and Charlie's had some fantastic results with the Nikken sleep system, with the Kenko sleep system. Charlie, can you share with us all how that has improved your life?
I'd love to share with that, Dr. The sleep system for us changed our lives, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But early in our marriage, my wife had a bad accident, and she fractured 2 vertebrae in her spine. And consequently, all of her life, she suffered with migraines and back spasms and tightness and could hardly function. Until when somebody said to us, I think I may have something for you. And when they told us about the sleep system, I said, you don't understand. I've been to see all of the great specialists, seen I'm team doctors, and my wife takes medication for the pain. So, we're sort of like managing it, but we're not functioning. And he says, what have you got to lose? So at that point, he loaned us one, and my wife slept on that. Now, she is very sensitive to energy, so as soon as she slept on it, she felt the difference almost right away, to the point where it was working on her. And after a week, when she says, it feels pretty good for me. At that time, I bought a complete sleep system. I didn't care what the cost was. I bought the sleep system because after 35 years of seeing her suffer, I wanted to get some type of a relief. Well, it took 3 months. After 3 months, she was like a giddy girl. She said, no more pain. I'm not taking any more medication. I sleep through the night. I don't get up in the middle of the night. And I says, great, that'll help me too. So after 3 months, it made such a difference in our lives, and it has continued on today. For me, when I was in business, I was not sleeping that well for her getting up and the stress and what have you. So when I got the sleep system, it made such a difference in our lives. And all of our health seems to improve after that. And we just went on and started to use the rest of the Nikken products, and we're so thankful today. I've had issues since then, which I won't get into now, but these products made such a difference in our lives that I'll be talking about it for the rest of my life.
That is great, Charlie. Thank you very much. And for those of you listening, that's not an unusual testimonial. And I'm not undermining that at all, but we hear these same type of stories over and over and over again. I have a number of people with children with hyperactivity problems that if they, one of them, was in my own family, one of my nephews, really poor grades at school, didn't sleep well. We changed his sleep environment, and think of that for a minute. That's as simple as what we did. We changed his sleep environment, and ended up getting A's, B's. He's currently in college, and his mother, many of us in the family, attribute that to the Nikken sleep system. And it's pretty, so anyways, there's lots and lots of testimonials. And testimonials are great, but they really don't do justice to how good you can really feel when you're having a good night's sleep. And I want you to just think about that for a minute. So again, thank you, Charlie. Really appreciate you. Here's a slide that's listing a bunch of different problems. And when I show this slide, especially if somebody has a medical background, they start thinking of lots of different chronic diseases. All right. They start thinking, wow, here's symptoms of many different chronic diseases. But let's look at it a different way. These are also symptoms of poor quality sleep. So if you want to improve your health, improve your sleep, we invite you to become a customer. It's free. Become a registered customer. You have access to great self-care information. You have a direct ability to get Nikken products and technology. You have first access to new products. Or you can purchase them from existing Nikken consultant or whoever invited you on this call. You can enjoy the benefits of Nikken products and start to create your own wellness home for self-care. So my advice is be healthy by choice. Don't leave it to chance. Some coming attractions. We will repeat this presentation, Sleep Matters, on Wednesday, March 30th at 7 p.m. Pacific time. And then next Thursday morning, we will kind of sum up the month with just the presentation on self-care matters and why basically all the things that we provide with Nikken are important for you to be healthy by choice. So thank you very much for your time. I had a wonderful time. I'm trying to find where I do the, okay, here it is. And had a wonderful time this morning with you all. Thank you very much.